Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. I was gonna say back, but we've done one Ghostbuster content. I don't know. I'm the Clown Prince of Bustin, Travis Snell, and I'm joined by.
I am Dylan West.
I'm the poltergeist, Taylor Field.
Yes, everything you need to know is down below. Where to find our audio, our video. Go to our website, which has everything. Most importantly, Patreon. You got tons of exclusive episodes up there right now. Our season of X, we did a X-Men fan cast draft, which was great. An X-Men versus Avengers Dream roster movie, which is great. We got a few more of those coming up. We're reviewing X-Men 97. This week, you got Pete Showtime being reviewed on SideQuest, along with Dylan. What else can they find game-related coming from you in the next little bit here?
You can check out my game, Potion
Yeah.
Problem, on Steam.
Mhm.
I was just editing the trailer earlier
Ooh.
today. It's almost done. So I
Mhm.
think for next side quest, I'll have it up so people can check that out.
Oh,
So that's
there
pretty
you go.
exciting.
That's exciting. Is it other music or is it Amanda's music?
It's Amanda's music. I just picked
Good.
picked what I felt was the most fitting song for the trailer.
Nice.
So yeah.
Yeah, no, she did some good stuff there. I talked to her the other day. I said you guys mesh well together. So,
Yeah.
is there anything else? Yeah, we're reviewing X-Men 97 weekly. We had tons of fun. So if you like X-Men or Marvel at all, go check that out because that's going to be, I think, one of our funnest reviews we've done so far. And then, yeah, next week, these two boys are reviewing Godzilla X Kong, the New Empire. Don't know why they had the X and the New Empire, but there you go. And then there'll be other reviews coming throughout the months. Monkey Man, a bunch of stuff. Pretty much everything we do is movie, TV, game related, and we touch upon at least I'd say the biggest stuff. If we don't, it's very rare, but that's what we do. So, ladies and gentlemen, I didn't know. At first, I was.
Somehow that's just that whole thing sounded like a threat. doesn't
It did, yeah. And I was making it too big for bridges because I'm like, well, we don't talk about everything, but we at least even if it's a trailer, some news, we'll hit you there. So, yeah, Ghostbusters, Taylor Field. Just give us a quick because we haven't. Yumi did the review for Afterlife. Gosh, 3 years ago now. But just quickly because we didn't do a retro. Like I said, we don't cover Ghostbusters a bunch. Just give a quick overall of what's your fandom level for Ghostbusters, and then non-spoilers. What did you think of this? And then we'll take a break and then go into spoilers for people that are first-time listeners.
I love Ghostbusters very, very much. I think that original is something that sits close to my heart that I like to rewatch every Halloween, sneak it on the TV and give it a watch through. It's just got a degree of humor, a degree of action, and just a classic nostalgic aesthetic to it that I really love. It's just I find myself as I age in years, these nostalgic old films have a really good place in my heart, like Back to the Future, The Goonies, and Jurassic Park, Alien, all that kind of stuff. I love to rewatch them. They make me happy, and so this is definitely a franchise that's in there for me. I think that getting to that crazy one that they did with the new leads, what was it, like Ghostbusters?
Like with the SNL ladies.
Who are you gonna
that one?
call? Yeah, the SNL
Okay.
ladies. Yeah,
It was called Ghostbusters Answer the Call.
answer the call right.
Was it actually?
Yeah, I think
That
they
sounds
just
like
called it.
fiction already. You know, that wasn't that long ago, right?
I think it started as just Ghostbusters, but when they're trying to make it clear it was a reboot, they did Answer the Call. So it's a very odd movie. It's a reboot, but then the end credit scene sets up the exact same plot as the first Ghostbusters. All the Ghostbusters are in the movie, like the original actors, but they're playing different people. Like Bill Murray's playing like a non-believer of ghosts. Yeah, it wasn't. The only thing I'd say was great about it is Hemsworth knocks it out of the park. He plays like the dumb male assistant. Oh my goodness, tons of laughs there. It's not the worst ever. I think people just got mad because they love Ghostbusters and it's not the crew come back. But yeah,
I was because Kate McKinnon's in that one, right? And
yes.
one of the main actresses in this one looks exactly like her. So in all the trailers, I thought that Kate McKinnon was in this, and therefore that it was like a
It's canon,
continuous
yeah.
narrative. But that was a surprise.
No, that was like a Last Jedi. The studio saw it come out, and then they've just not answered it ever since. Like we didn't make Ghostbusters Answer the Call. But you don't believe me, Taylor, about Answer the Call?
No, I was when you reminded me that
typing.
all the original cast members were in Answer the Call. And I was
Yep.
trying to see if Harold Ramis was actually in there. I can't.
I don't. I think he had already passed at that point.
Oh yeah.
Or it might have
2016,
been-
He passed in 2014. Yeah, you're right.
Oh yeah, so pretty close. Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, just continuing off of that. So, I really really do love these films. I also like the second one a lot. But yeah, that Answer the Call one. The thing that I praise about it is I love the ghosts. I loved how the effects of the paranormal were in that film. It was visually very very wonderful to behold. But it didn't have enough juice to really tempt me to kind of ever go back to it again. It's a one-off. It is what it is, and it exists. So I've always preferred the classical Ghostbusters. And so when we got to Afterlife, yeah, we did a review on that one, and I think it is a fantastic film. It's wonderful, and I think it does a great job at delivering to new fans of the franchise that are going in, and does a wonderful sentimental job at delivering to the OG fans of the original. So it's a perfect kind of tip of the triangle, if you will, and I think it's great. So when we get to this one, I saw it with Madison, and we saw it with two of our other friends, and I really enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun, and I think that it does a good job relatively at kind of piggybacking off the last one in terms of giving fans that nostalgia, the OG characters, stuff like that. But then there are some things that are in the story that I kind of figure what they're trying to go for, but I wasn't totally sold on it. I think there's a few things that I could have done without, or I would have liked to have seen change. There's one particular plot that could have been swapped around a little bit, but as far as the villains go, wonderful. I think that there was a certain twist that I thought was really cool that I really liked. Although the setup to it I did not need, but I feel like when it actually happened, I thought, okay, this is really cool, and I like the thinking and the creativity that went into the idea to pull this off. I thought that was really neat. But yeah, I look forward to revisiting this film again, and I am curious where the franchise will go from here.
Yeah, I'll go next because with Dylan's sister, I want to leave him last as a nice mystery card. But I'm the exact opposite of Taylor as far as 80s or 90s franchises that I'm very nostalgic about. Ghostbusters is not one of those. I think it's that, and it's weird because it's spooky and it's horror. And yes, I don't like Bill Murray in general, but I don't think I would have been like that wouldn't have been on my radar as a kid. I don't think at the age of 5 or 6 at that point I was watching movies like I don't really like this actor. It was later on when I just didn't return too much because I'm just not a fan of his humor and not really a great human being when you look into it now. That's come out more, but so I never was nostalgic for that film. I've seen it a handful of times. I like it, and I definitely understand its place in Hollywood history, and I understand why people love it and why if they're around that age, they hooked on to it. So I've seen them all. Afterlife, I quite enjoyed. You can go back. I thought it was kind of a lesser Force Awakens and Top Gun Maverick, where I think it has that magic of doing the whole original new one putting together. I just didn't reach those heights, but I think there was some very touching moments in that. So this is the kind of like, what do you do next? And luckily, like Top Gun Maverick seemed like a one-off, and Force Awakens did a whole trilogy. So they're not really kind of latched on to that. But I think my biggest complaint with this were overall I enjoyed it, but I think that there's a version of this movie that's with majority of just the new cast I probably like better, and I think that is better. I think with a 2-hour movie, they got way too many characters going on, and I'm not saying a way that's confusing or I just dislike it. I just feel like there's people that just go missing for very long times. Finn Wolfhard is gone for a long time. Carrie Coon, who's a great actor, she's plays like the mom and Paul Rudd's, I'm sure soon to be wife in the next one if they do it. Like, she sits on a couch, cracks a cold one, and she's gone for about an hour, and it's just like
even Paul Rudd, who
yes,
you would think is the main guy of this, disappeared
and
for a while.
It's one of those weird sequel things where they do this, and it's tough because you have certain characters from the first one and they all come back, whether it's the original cast or the new cast, but then you're also adding 3 to 4 new characters, and that's why it's tough of, do you want to do the swap out, do you want to kill people off? I don't know, because now I'm worried about the next one. Like, you bring everyone back, we're looking like Infinity War here. But overall I enjoyed it. I think it's a good time. I took all the girls to it, they enjoyed it. So yeah, I think it's like a thumb, like if it were doing the animated show stuff, it's like a thumbs up movie where it's like, I'm not going to put this on all the time, but if I was in a Ghostbusters mood, then maybe I would watch this. And I think the girls are quite liking Ghostbusters, so maybe, and they haven't seen the originals because especially the first one, there's some like dicey stuff, like they don't need to see Blowjob Ghost yet. Like the 80s, that was a different time, so one day we'll get there. But these are like a fun, to me they're like PG Stranger Things, but the thing about Stranger Things is it's a show, so you can have that many characters, right? This is a movie, and I wonder if you took out all the original cast, how much more time you've had. But at the same time, I get why for box office and enjoyment, and you do it while you're here, right? Because look at Harold Ramis, he was an original member, we lost him before all these, and for the people that love these characters, you definitely want them here because at any point in the future, you could make a Ghostbusters movie without them, but at the same time, then I'd say maybe lessen on the characters. I think the villain was fine. I know Taylor, you spoke about like it was a great actor or something. I thought it was just kind of like a thing that just popped up and was like, okay, this is the big CGI bad guy with the like the light beam in the sky. We got to fight at the end.
There's no acting involved.
No,
I would say no. I'm purely meant in the sense of like I thought the villain was super scary and I just loved its portrayal.
Jacket.
Yeah, I'd say that the ending is very 2010 late comic book third act, where, like I said, beam in the sky, tons of CGI are going off, just a big battle, doesn't really matter. There's one storyline I really like with the main character, Taylor, what's her name? McKenna Grace, what's her name in this? It's Phoebe, right? Yeah.
Phoebe Spengler.
It's her interaction with a ghost that I really, really enjoy. I thought that was really good, and I thought could have used more. So overall, like, I liked it. And I think if you're Ghostbusters fans, you would be happy. But I also don't think this is going to be like anywhere come Golden Geeks time. It's going to be a movie that I think in 6 months, I might have a tough time remembering. And that's not a bad thing. Like, you can't remember every movie and leave it impact. But that's where I kind of am. Where gets the thumbs up, was a fun couple hours. Maybe you could use a little bit more to flesh out characters, or it could be a little less. I don't know. But fun time at the movies. If you're a Ghostbusters fan, go see it. But it's not one I'm going to be returning to a bunch. And I would say it was lesser than the Afterlife one. I think Afterlife and that's because to me they had a much better director there, just had a certain pacing and a certain just kind of gravitas around it, where this just felt like a popcorn flick. So, Dilmus, for the people that don't know, what is your history with Ghostbusters? And then, what do you think about this?
It's pretty short. This is the first Ghostbusters movie I've ever seen in my life. I didn't spend the time in the last couple of weeks here to catch up on the old ones. You know, the original's always been on that list, and I feel like whenever Halloween comes around, I just kind of forget that it exists. Yeah. And then another year goes around, I haven't seen it yet, and here we are. I just really enjoyed the trailers for this. I think it just looked like, exactly like you said, like fun popcorn sort of flick, like a disaster movie sort of vibe with all the ice coming in from the ocean. And I was like, you know what? I'm into it. I want to go check it out. And so I did. And yeah, I didn't do my homework. Although I don't feel like that was much of a problem. In fact, I think it's like on a TV, there's like a news thing that like kind of quickly
catches you right up. Yeah,
the plot. So I mean, it's pretty simple anyway. It's like I feel like I can kind of fill in the gaps. But that was nice to have kind of right near the start of the movie. Overall, I had a good time with it. I enjoyed it. I think the movie though, like the first half, I thought was really strong. Like maybe just getting into the world, getting introduced to these characters, and just kind of getting into the lore of Ghostbusters, because I guess more than I was expecting. It's such a cross between fantasy and science, and the way they melded together is interesting. I thought it was always more of a sciencey kind of thing. I guess ghosts would be more the fantasy realm, but even in terms of like Kumal's character in here, like the fire walk or whatever his name is, like there's some crazy stuff that's going on.
Oh God, what was he? Was
he Fire Master?
Fire Master, right?
Okay. Yeah, like there's a lot of stuff in here that was way more fantasy element than I was expecting, and that stuff was pretty compelling to me. And then I think there was something wrong with the second half of the movie where things went off the rails.
Something wrong.
Yeah, it was like it was a mix of different things. This is what you were saying, Travis, of like, man, where the fuck did Paul Rudd go? Why is he gone? And then it makes me question his character. And then, you know, Phoebe as a main character, she is the protagonist of this movie. It's really centered around her. And there were just certain things around her that I just felt kind of broke in my mind, because she's shown to be so smart, but then she's so dumb at the same time. And like,
that's fair.
She's a kid, but it's like not like she's a child. Like she's still 15 in the movie, and she's like clearly a genius. So a lot of that was really rubbing me the wrong way in terms of some of the plot stuff there. And then maybe this is getting a bit spoilery, so I'll hold back on that part. But there are certain things that were maybe a bit underwhelming for me too when we get into that third act and the action of it, I'll say. So overall, I had a good time. I enjoyed it. I'm glad I finally jumped into this universe. I definitely still want to go back and watch those other ones. I probably should have at least done Afterlife, but you know, here we are. And yeah, this does make me want to go back and see more, even if this isn't a movie that I really plan to revisit much, if at all, in the future.
I think if you enjoyed this one, I think Afterlife you'll really enjoy, because I think that's the better version of this, and it's like the classic, like they're finding the old stuff, and honestly, the original, it's so, I get it, but this is why I think that Sony, who did this movie, wants to do this with the Spider-Man, because in the original movie, in Afterlife, the original cast is really not in it that much. There's a couple appearances here and there, but it's really about the new characters.
Right. Okay.
So less so than like when Toby and Andrew show up, it's like, oh, they're there for the whole third act. That first one, not so much. So it's like you have less characters, no original cast,
But they
and
did
but
meet like
yeah, they all
Paul
met. Yeah,
Rudd
they
and
had
stuff. Okay.
they had some interactions where it's like, okay, now there, if you need some help in the future, give us a call or something. But that's where it's so funny with
That's
this one. They
interesting,
felt the
yeah.
need to have them at least for the third act, especially
They-
Dan Aykroyd. He's a co-star in this. He's
yeah,
had so much
he's
screen
big in
time.
it. That was
Yeah.
something that maybe surprised me a bit. Where, like the first time Paul Rudd and Dan Aykroyd are on screen together, Paul Rudd has like no reaction to him existing, and I'm like,
Yeah.
shouldn't you be like fanboying? But I guess if they've met before, like maybe
Yes,
be.
they have, yeah.
But like it's weird they don't even have like a greeting. They're just like both in the background, like standing there as other
Yeah.
characters are talking. It was kind of bizarre. So
Felt
I'm definitely missing some context, obviously, because I haven't seen all of these movies.
Yeah, and I don't think this is the case because I don't think with the MCU it's different. But it feels like when we would learn in the MCU, like certain scenes where actors were not in the same shot at all. Like when Batista's like, "Yeah, I met Tom Holland at the red carpet for the first time." And they're in all
Right.
of Infinity War together, but it wasn't. I don't think that's the case here. I just think, like you said, there were moments like that because there's so many. At one point, they panned out, and it's like a roster of like 11 people that are the Ghostbusters. I'm like, oh my goodness. And I was like, someone has to die here, right? Like, or at least get like, oh, my ghost hunting days are done after this movie. But it's just like, I don't know. Also, when you took a drink for some reason, I thought your
big orange
glass was
cup?
upside down. I thought,
Oh, you
'cause
thought it was just-
I have a glass that has an orange lid like that. So I was like, oh my God. I thought you were going to spill like all over yourself. But yeah, no, definitely. Yeah. Come Halloween, check them out. I don't know if you need to answer the call. If you like those actresses, you could check out that one, but it's not nothing. And notoriously, it's a big debate with Ghostbusters 2, the original 2, of like if it's a fun time or if it's a shit movie. It's a very 50-50 crowd.
Because
as
there was
far
two
as-
back in the day in the 80s,
Yeah.
right? And then the
It's
SNL
definitely a
people
fun
one.
time.
Then Afterlife, and then this.
Yeah, but Taylor, you would admit that there's lots of people that really dislike that movie, right? Ghostbusters
Oh, yeah.
2? Yeah, it's very
Controversial.
it's in the middle there. But yeah, so if you've not seen the movie and you're going to go watch it, then go away right now. If you don't care, if you have, now's the time. So we're going to take a quick ad break and then we'll be right back. And we're back. So yeah, where do we want to start? Original cast, beginning, villains, or Taylor? You have. I hear you.
I
breathing.
want to start on. It was a negative for me, but it was you highlighted as a positive for you. What was her name? Spengler, the granddaughter, Phoebe,
Melody
yeah, so
or Melanie or whatever.
McKenna Grace. Her.
Oh no, I thought you were going somewhere else. Never mind.
Melody's the ghost girlfriend.
I thought he was going to say he didn't like that
is
connection.
that is where I'm going.
Well, that's what I was saying. The ghost's name is Melody or something like that. It's the name of the diner or whatever.
I liked how we got the initial setup here of her playing chess because I thought we were gonna get Spengler being the one to play chess with her. I thought that was really really clever.
And
of
hang
course
on, to set it up for Dylan, yeah, in the first movie, her ghost grandpa messes with her like that a couple times. So that's why she's kind of
Gotcha,
disappointed when the girl pops up and it's not her grandfather. So
Gotcha.
yeah.
And when the girl pops up, I thought, okay, this is interesting, but I didn't like how this ghost was just pretty much just total regular human being, but just ghost
They had
form.
fire. They had fire.
They had fire too, but just ghost form. I wasn't a fan of that. I feel like the connection could have been done where the person the spirit was maybe a little more ghostly. And again, this I'm just maybe over dwelling into it and over critiquing it, but this is just how I feel going in. And I saw this moment. This is the one thing that I really wasn't connecting with in the scene. I get that she was feeling lonely and she wanted to have a connection. So this character appeared, this ghost, and she forms that connection and they become really good friends. But I like the twist where Phoebe is used by the main demon to get what it wants. I like how that plays out, but just this ghost girl being super friendly and super human like and chill, I wasn't fond of that, and just kind of like moving around, like something wasn't there for me. And in my perfect bubble, I would have probably have her be exactly the same, but maybe have her not even have
Screaming in
like,
agony.
well, yeah, screaming agony. Don't even give her really much dialogue. Just have her like just be very friendly and expressionative, and have that be the way of communication with Phoebe Spengler. I would have liked that a little bit more, and then because I feel like through facial expressions and through mannerisms, she could have delivered everything that she was needing to over dialogue. And I feel like just the dialogue from this ghost just pulled me out of it. I didn't feel like she was a ghost. I didn't feel like she was dead. I felt like, oh, she's an actual person on the street. And when you compare her with all the other ghosts that we've seen, we got a flying sea monster subway ghost. Like that is very Ghostbusters-y, but even the librarian lady that we see a callback to in this movie, even that feels a little bit different. There's just certain characters of these ghosts that are, well, they're all very unique. I understand that, but even when Spengler popped up, that was a very different ghost moment, and he didn't say a word. It was all
Yep.
silence, and that's exactly what I would have liked for this character too.
See, that's where I'll push back. Spangler pops up in the first movie, the grandfather. He looks exactly like her. He's complete human form, and he's just ghostly. The reason the guy doesn't talk is the actor's dead. Like, that's the only difference to me. I'll give you that. If Harold Ramis was alive, that ghost would be talking out the yin yang. So that's where
True,
it's like,
but that's
look-wise,
again, that's not the scene that we got. The scene that we got, like, she didn't say anything, and they could have ad-libbed. They did Tarkin in Rogue One. They can ad-lib.
They were trying to
whatever
avoid
they
that,
want.
though. They were trying
Oh,
to
yeah,
they were
but
trying to make it, somewhat.
I thought the scene was wonderful in Afterlife, and I think that it really adds a lot to the fact that he didn't say anything, and I think that if this ghost lady hadn't said anything and she was just like lighting her match every so often, you just have like that really like quiet silence with the mannerisms, and Phoebe would have been able to figure it out or whatnot. I think all that would have been great. That's just how I would have redone that scene. Like I said, I didn't like how too human she was.
I didn't love it either, but I think I'm disliked it for other reasons than you did, Taylor. So that's interesting.
Oh.
But to me, like the chess scene was the peak of that relationship. That was like the best, most intriguing
I'll give you that. Yeah.
scene between them. And then I think as it went on, it wasn't necessarily that their chemistry or something was off. It was just that plot wise, things like weren't really making sense to me. So maybe you guys can fill in some gaps on things that didn't make sense to me. Like, I mean, when she sees her in the diner and she doesn't shoot, that's a good moment too. I think that one's nice.
Yeah, that's
and
good,
then
yeah.
I even like the scene that we get after that when she meets her at her apartment and then they're kind of talking there. But I guess where some of my confusion comes in with this is I didn't really understand how Melody knew. And what's the big bad's name? Like Baraka, or that's the Street Fighter character. So I can't remember.
Mortal
what
Kombat character to save you.
Kombat, yeah.
What do you guys remember the name of this big bad?
And I was saying Garrick, but that's X-Men 97.
All of my notes
so-
are just I just wrote big bad because I could
It's
not
like
remember.
it's like G and B together. It's like Gabarg or something.
Garka.
Garka.
Is that correct?
Garka.
Did you
I think
Google
it's
that?
Garka. That's what Google says. Garaka.
I think Garaka. I think
Garaka
that's
makes
what it is.
sense. Yeah. Garaka pool.
How did Melody get Garaka's plan? Like, how was she wise to that plan?
So I think there's a lot of. So this is me putting it all together, but I think in the movie it's actually very thin. I think it's the Ghostbusters get said whatever circular thing right from Kamel.
Yeah.
It's at the station, so the guy Garaka knows. Okay, that thing's there. We need to get one of these humans. They go after, which I agree because there's one scene where Phoebe's just complaining, and the line that Melody goes, she's like, "Yeah, just sounds like they just don't get you." Like it just sounds like the most like generic. Like, okay, she's up to she's up to something. Like this ghost. Like why does she even care this much? But I think that was the plan. Ghostbusters have the sphere to open me up, so you gotta hit somebody there that could do that. So you go after the person that's like lonely and kind of dejected and kind of like the black sheep of the family right now, where she's alone a lot. And so that was the plan. Balls at the Ghostbusters fire station, get someone to open it. She's the easy one. Go after her. That's what I'm assuming. But again, that's not explained. I just think that's what they're showing.
I think more like how does Melody and communicate with Garaka?
Well, Garaka can control ghosts, right? So
Right,
he would have
she
just
did say that.
controlled her
but not humans
to do it.
Yeah. So he can like force ghosts to talk to other ghosts. That's what he can do.
Or to people.
Not to people. No,
No,
not to people.
But he forced Melody to talk to
because she,
Phoebe.
She's a ghost.
yeah.
So
She's a
go
ghost.
even if she's a ghost person. If you're a ghost and dead, Garaka can talk to you and tell you to do
Okay.
things. If you're a person, can't do anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the other thing with that is the scene when Phoebe goes to the lab, which first of all, like why the lab like is not locked at all. Like it's a very
She had a key card. She was able to get him with her key
Okay,
card.
she had a key card.
I even
Very
thought that
risky
place
to
was, like,
give her a key
condemned and
card after
stuff.
all the times
Yes.
she's fucked up in the city. So that'll be my backup complaint on that. But I mean I thought this whole scene was a little too cheesy for my liking. But I also didn't feel like it was quite set up that like that's how that device would work and that she would take that risk. It seems like she's the first person who's ever put herself she's the first person who's ever been in there, and it seems really risky if all the ways to set up the contraption are outside and she goes in this. It just feels like, I don't know, such a huge risk to take
Yes.
for like very little gain, and I didn't feel like it was set up very well. And then even just like the fact that that's how Garaka would get out of his cage is by embodying like the ghost of specifically a human. It just felt like they wrote that part first, and then they had to backpedal their way. Like they had to do the maze the reverse way to figure out how to make that actually make sense, because it just didn't really work for me. I don't know if I'm being nitpicky or if from your guys' understanding of the lore, if that makes more sense, but I didn't feel like that was really set up for me to understand well.
Well, I mean, like possession has been like a big thing, I guess, in these movies. You see it in pretty much every single one, actually. Some sort of possession, and this was different in terms of possession, but I really liked it. I can agree with you though. I can see that being that they wrote this narrative of her jumping out of her body into her like spiritual state,
Right.
and then them backtracking and thinking, oh well, this is a really good idea. Let's see what we can do with that. And maybe that's why I don't like the setup and the introduction of this ghost girl with Phoebe and how they executed it. But because that scene when she gets possessed, I wasn't expecting that, and I really like that twist when her spiritual version was possessed and then she's talking and it's talking through her real body. I thought, man, this is really fucking cool, and I like that a lot. But yeah, the lead up to it, I agree. There was something missing there. So
Okay, so a lot was said there. So on Taylor, I guess I can't agree on the non-talking thing. I think the problem, what I like and what I don't like about this is it's doing the classic Hollywood thing where, in my opinion, they're not trying to make it a friend. They're trying to make it like a love interest. They're trying to make it that she is like attracted to her. So one, Taylor, that's why you need cute ghost girl and not, disheveled library lady, because she's not going to fall for the library lady. You got to like have someone her age.
Relatable.
Yeah, someone relatable, and someone like that's like, oh, just my body's on fire. And even her body, it's like, well, it's on fire, but it's not like mangled at all. But I think for me, that's where the talking, I don't think you'd get that connection with just the looks. If it was just like a helpful ghost or something like that, you could. But this idea to have Phoebe want to maybe have some sort of connection with her, so she's gonna like put her soul out there. That's why I think you do need her to talk. I think I can't say my issue, because I think my issues are similar to you guys with the end scene. I just didn't buy, because there's so much going on in the movie. Why does she need to? I know she says like, oh, I want to feel like you do, but just like nothing's really gonna change. I feel like between you two, like it's a ghost talking with a person. Like I guess you can just be ghostly together, but it's for 2 minutes, right? It'd be different if it was some longer thing. Not that they would go this way, but it'd be different if like she was gonna try and like end her life, like something like they did in Casper back in the day. Like, and again, I don't think they do that nowadays in these movies, and there's good reasons why, because you don't want to promote that, right? So I just didn't feel like for the 2 minutes it's worth like what you gonna do, like you're just still gonna talk, and then I don't know, I guess maybe you could hold hands, because they're not gonna kiss them, you can hold hands as ghosts. Like I didn't buy the reasoning, I didn't buy the relationship, because they do have multiple talks, but it wasn't long enough. They weren't together enough for me to buy her to take that risk. And to me, it is a big thing just to do, oh yeah, I'm just going to do this for 2 minutes and whatever. It just feels like even a thing, like, I don't know if that should be something access to everybody as well. Like we talk about adults versus kids. Like I feel like something can go wrong and everything. So there's aspects I like to it. I like that it was something I was not expecting of this movie. I was not expecting this human to have this relationship with this ghost. I think this was a fun dynamic. And yeah, like you said, Dylan, I really like that diner scene because I was not expecting that. I was expecting the twist of the possession, but I was not expecting her to be at the diner. And it was her. It's like, oh, this is a very fun dynamic of, usually you just suck up the ghost and that's it, right? But this is like we're hearing the ghost story, and it's not a ghost that wants to take over the world because they've been wronged. It's just they're hanging on, right? And does she want to put her newfound friend or maybe love interest in a jar? No. So there's aspects I liked of it, but I can definitely just say there's some clunk around. And I think how we get to the possession part is tough, because even like Taylor says, I know every ghost is different, but it is tough when you've had, at least if we're in this continuity, I can't remember 2, but at least 4 people we know have been possessed. It's just strange, like why can't he find any way just to possess her without having to have like her body's spirit come out and then get the thing for 2 minutes? It's just like, I would almost just think it's easier for Melody to lead her into a trap, right? Like, oh, I'm going to show you where I died, and when you get there, actually it's not where I died, boom, like Garrett or whatever, Garrock. Like I thought there was many easier ways to get to this point. And I know that the ghost, but the ball has to be there, but that's what you can do as a writing. Like Dylan says, you work backwards, right? So you do something where maybe she has it for some XY reason. So I like the story. It's not without its issues, but I liked it because I think it's the most unique thing out of the movie, where the rest of the movie has like it's kind of, just similar themes of or attack action scenes that we've seen in other stuff. So I liked it, but yeah, I don't think you guys are wrong with some stuff. But I do think Taya, for me, I think she had to talk, because I don't know if you could get to this reaction where she's like hugging her mom, crying at the end if you don't talk, I guess. But and if she doesn't talk, then I think the whole movie would have to be Phoebe and her, because you'd have to have like a Wally situation where you'd need like at least an hour of these characters with no dialogue to really bond together. Where they have how many scenes in total? They got the beginning, the diner, they meet in the streets. She gets tricked, and then they say goodbye. It's 5 or 6 scenes. It's not that, and they're not all long scenes, right? So it's pretty minor.
Yeah. Another question, just, and this is probably more of a just Ghostbusters lore question, is like they make a big point of how Melody is a ghost. I forget what the term for it is, but one that can like interact with the physical world. Is that like very uncommon? Because it seems like a lot of them can do that, like mess with physical objects.
That's a you question, Taylor.
Like there's even the guy up in the attic, and he's eating Cheetos.
Yeah.
And, like,
Slimer,
he's dealing with
yeah.
physical objects. Right?
Honestly, I think all the ghosts that we've seen can interact with physical objects. The librarian is the first ghost we ever see in Ghostbusters. She's reading books. She's moving books
Right.
around. Like
They
all
just
of
bump
them
into
are
the rare
handling
ones in the
things.
movies. That's why they just keep bumping into the rare ones.
Yeah,
Never the non-rare.
apparently.
Yeah, good luck. Yeah.
Which made me wonder why Melody didn't like crack open the ghost tank in the Ghostbusters home.
Well, they had to
Which,
say something. They had to say the curse words or whatever, the spell.
Mm-hmm.
Or what tank are you talking about? Like the tank that all had all the ghosts?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, they still needed someone to say that stuff for the ball for Garaka to get out. But yeah, you could have just had her pull the lever and start going wild.
Yeah, even like
and
come back later and do that or something.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I don't know. Yeah, because she just kind of disappears when she's like, oh, well, I'm going to be
Because I thought when
going
they
to the next world.
when they were talking about how she can deal with the physical world, whatever it was, that would be a thing she was going to do, considering how much time was spent on that tank in this movie and almost getting busted open several times.
And in the matter of when the finale was, and it's fine because I won't say it's a kid's movie, it's a family movie, but it kind of has those contexts where she makes the big heel turn, but then it's like, I don't know, 10 minutes later where I completely regret that, and then she's helping the good guys out. So I wish there was even like a day or like a day-night cycle where they've got to nighttime they've been dealing with all day. It just feels like, and again, it's odd because I was gonna say, oh, that ghost is a kid, but she says like, oh, I'm like a 60-year-old woman in like a 60-year-old body. Like they kind of make mention of she feels older than she looks, right? So I just felt it a little very easy for her to do that, and then pretty much right away be like, this was a mistake. I guess you can see like. It's to me, I guess I can't see, because my point was gonna be, oh, you see the family's getting hurt and people dying, maybe you change your mind. But it's just like this ghost she's been talking to the whole movie, like the Garaka, like he's not a good looking ghost, and like I guess he says he's gonna free her, but it sounds like I just feel like I wish they almost made Garaka some sort of different form for her, and I don't know if it was, but they didn't show that in the movie, right? I just don't know how you look at this guy and what he's wanting you to do and not think things are going to get really bad. Like, is it worth you doing all this stuff and dying? But I don't know. It was just a little thing. She comes and saves the day. I thought it was a fun thing though that she had the one match and that was the payoff. So I thought that was a fun moment. I liked that. So.
Where do we want to go next?
Well, speaking of, I want to ask because, I feel like we're fans, but, it doesn't pop all the time. Speaking of that match moment, how do you guys feel about the Fire Master himself, Kumail Nanjiani? At first, he starts off, he's the sphere guy, ball guy, he just sells it. At first, the scene's like, oh, he's just kind of an idiot, but then he realizes there is something kooky going on there. He kind of pops through in the movie where they got to get him, they got to interview him. I actually did like all the sex dungeon jokes. I thought that was like actually good charisma with the couple actors, and then we get this whole story about his family lineage was protecting, kind of like we were talking about. It's not just sci-fi, it's also fantasy, where they're just like these fire gods or fire powered people that have powers to protect the world from these ice demons and destroy them and everything. So what do you guys think about Kamel and just that storyline of these fire and ice sort of demons or god people fighting back and forth?
when we got more into the lore of it, I was just surprised. I didn't think that was something that Ghostbusters like that was part of the lore or the capable. I don't know. That wasn't like a capability within the lore of this world. So I was pretty surprised by it. I think in terms of the humor, it didn't hit all the time, but it was probably like a good 70% of the time for his character.
Not bad.
So yeah, I think it was maybe just a bit too cheesy, which is maybe weird because this movie feels like it's intentionally cheesy at times, but then it also feels like super serious. So I'm not exactly sure. Like I get the vibe that the original one is like a cheesy movie, but maybe I'm wrong about that.
The original one, I'd say, is it's the most serious out of them. I feel like that one has the most deadpan humor out of all of them. Where the sequel and all of them kind of got a bit more, I don't know, jokey or comedic, and I won't say goofy because goofy sometimes has a bad connotation, but kind of like that. But the first one, I feel like it's written as a horror movie, and because the comedians or the actors you get, they kind of brought in some of their, like Bill Murray's humor, Dan Aykroyd's humor. So I feel like that it started as more deadpan, but it's gone a bit more.
Right.
And I won't say quippy either, because I feel like now these are like bad terms and stuff, because we always use quippy as, but definitely a bit more jokey. I'd say on the nose jokes as far as like we're gonna do a bunch of riffs on this sex room or riffs on his auntie or his grandma and their lack of relationship or you know.
Yeah, but no, I think he was fun for the most part. I really liked the mystery around the orb that we were dealing with for a lot of the movie. I just thought it looked really cool. I like that sometimes it would just start popping off, and then it would just like, I don't know, gain a ton of mass and crash through like a glass surface or whatever it was doing. So I thought he was a fun character. He was in it a lot more than I thought he would be based on his first scene when he walks in and into the pawn shop there to sell that stuff. It's fun to have more of him throughout. So yeah, I thought it was fairly successful.
Yeah. Taylor, did you like the Fire Masters?
I absolutely love this character a lot more than I was expecting to. Madison was just having a great time every time he popped up on screen because he was really freaking funny.
Have you guys watched The Big Sick ever, you two together?
Me and Taylor?
Me and Dylan.
You too. And then also Taylor Madison, if you watched The Big Sick. You should watch it. That's the movie that put him on the map, but it's really good. It's a comedy about him and he goes on two dates with this girl, and the second date she just like collapses and goes into a coma. It's a real story about how he met his wife. Ray Romano's in it. Yeah, and his wife co-wrote it. Definitely both of you check it out. It's really, if you watch this, you're like, oh, I'm really liking Kamel. He leads the whole thing. One of my favorite rom-coms. Definitely check it out.
Add
So
it to my
list right
letterbox.
now.
yeah,
bucket list.
definitely, it's worth the time because he just shines in there. Ray Romano's really funny too. Holly Hunter's in there. So
Did you tune into it because Ray Romano?
no, like it was just the buzz. It was one of those it was a festival darling movie of like, and that idea of like this is how he met his wife. Like, could you imagine you going like they were liking each other, but the second date you go on with this girl, like that's what happens. He takes her to the hospital and he's like, "What's her last name?" Like, I don't know. What's the phone? Like, I don't know. He knows nothing because it's just like it's the second date. But in real life, they've been married ever since, and they're still together today. So it's a very fun story. So
Very trippy.
yeah.
Um,
But you guys were digging the Fire Masters here in your screening.
Yes, we were really digging the Fire Master. As soon as he comes in on screen and he's working with like Dan Aykroyd's character Ray Stantz, and he's Dan Aykroyd's just looking at it. He starts rambling off about it, and he mumbles under his breath like, "Oh, 60." Like he's just raising the price up, and then what does Dan Aykroyd say? Is like, "Do you mind if I scan it with my so and so?" And then he's like, "Oh yeah, lots of people want to do it, and you're the first one to ask me for permission to do it." he's really, really funny with everything he's got going on. And when he comes down the fire pole and he's wearing his armor too, I was just laughing because that was just such a funny thing to see. Yeah, he was really, really good in that, and I'm glad that he came back because I really thought he was done. But when he came back afterwards and he's talking about, yeah, I'm a certified like licensed shoe salesman. Would you fit into a size 8? All that kind of stuff was really, really working for me. But the object itself, I really thought that was cool. I really, really did. I like that it was this ancient tool to basically harness and keep this evil locked up in there.
It looked very Hellraiser like, not as
Very
Grimson,
Hellraiser
but like always it's some sort of item with you click one thing and
I thought one too many times that people that were getting their hands frozen holding this thing should have lost the hand. The
Yeah.
firefighter at the
A lot of
beginning, I thought
frostbite
his
going
hand
on.
was. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
the
His
firefighter
hand,
at
his
the
hand was
beginning, his hand
stuck
should
right
have
to the
been done.
door. Yeah.
But he was back next scene, like moving around and shit. I thought,
Yeah.
man, how's this guy still alive with his
That was a cool
hand?
scene. I like.
I thought, I thought it was coming off though, because I was like, oh man,
Mhm.
like I didn't think it was gonna be brutal, but I was like, I got the girls with me, like, what's this gonna be like? And luckily, they just pulled them, so I was thankful as a parent. But in real life, it's like, no, like he'd lose something at least, some skin, but he'd clean.
Oh, he would. He
Nice
would.
and
Yeah,
warm, you know?
absolutely. But yeah, that whole intro that was fantastic. I love the callback to the OG Ghostbusters firehouse there, and just being in like the back in a few decades ago in that time period with them just trying to understand like, oh, what is this going on here in this building? And yeah, the whole auction room is frozen. It was so cool, such a very cool set piece. Really, really like that. But yeah, that's where I think Garrick was such a cool looking villain. I really liked how he was just kind of
Garaka.
Garak.
Garrick's the man who killed Xavier in X-Men '97.
Oh shit! Yo, shit.
The
you're
racist
right.
/ prejudiced piece of crap. Yeah.
He's definitely not.
That would have been crazy if he showed up. Yeah. so Marvel's like, we want Spider-Man, and then Marvel's like, who do you want? Sony's like, oh, you know that Garrett guy from X-Men? Give him to us for our next Ghostbusters movie.
Yeah, I think that they knocked it out of the park with that character and with the object. I thought it was really, really cool. There's something else I'm gonna say about it, but I can't remember. One quick thing here before we move too far away from these characters, but McKenna Grace, I didn't realize that who played Phoebe, she was actually in Annabelle Comes
Everything.
Home.
She's,
Which is
if you look
crazy.
up her credits, me and Emma looking up the stage, she was young Captain Marvel. She was like young, she was young, whatever the character's name is, Malignant. She has like a bunch of credits where she's always the young version of that. So her agent did a very good job while she was growing up. But yeah, she's done so many of young context name, and it's good to see her doing her own, because she was really good in the first one. I think she's really good here. I think she's somebody that is good, like I like Finn Wolfhard, and maybe just is going to be a different type of movie, and even Stranger Things. But it's like I feel like, you know, like I kind of know what he can do. Where with Grace, like, oh, I feel like she's gonna go on to do other things that aren't just Ghostbusters and be really impressive in them. So I'm hoping we get to see those things. But yeah, she has a lot of credits as whatnot, and yeah, I like her character in both movies. I think she's relatable. I can't say, okay, maybe I shouldn't say relatable, because I actually couldn't relate to this person at all as far as liking science. But
You
it's
were
a
Ghostbuster.
it's a person that you would want, you would like to meet, or you don't get annoyed by him, not because like, oh, it's the main character, I'm supposed to like this person. I feel like you actively like them. I think they do a good job at the beginning of saying, you know, because she's underage right away, it's like she's the best Ghostbuster, she knows everything, she's the most qualified, but because her age she can't do it. And I feel like for young people, like, now I'm not young, but like of that age, that happens a lot, right? Where you're told you can't do X, Y, and Z until you're this age. So I think it's like a relatable thing, but replacing it with ghosts, which is, you know, smart for the movie Ghostbusters to do. So
Just
yeah.
her counterpart here, the ghost girl. Do you recognize what she has also been in?
She was in that new Beverly 902 whatever, or not, no, new, what is it? The something girl, Gossip Girl, because I know she did like a bunch of sex scenes there, because Emily's always watching. It's like, what's going on here?
She was also in Doctor Sleep.
Yeah, she plays one of the girls that is part of what's her name, Rebecca Ferguson's camp there. So
Yeah, and
yeah,
she's in the babysitter too. So she's in like a few of these. like-
right, she was in the babysitter. Yeah, good little ensemble cast here, and
Mhm.
Finn Wolfhard picking up a nice check. You know, he wants to drive,
In
and he wants to
between
get
Stranger Things.
pretty, and his band, like pretty much, like, and that is the good thing, because that kid's probably made bank. So as long as you're smart with your money, dude, you're fine. But that is his story: is catching Slimer, and he wants to drive. You know, even because Dylan, like, you probably picked up the girl that's like the intern. That's kind of like his love interest in the first movie.
right.
And when they met up, I'm like, oh, they're gonna pick up on this and start going even more into it. But not really. It's just kind of like, hey, I like you,
They're
and
best
then
friends. in
they're
this
just,
sense.
yeah, and I feel like they made them best friends just because, like, well, we don't have time to make them like a romantic couple. But I thought, okay, he's gonna be more into the plot here. And again, there's lots of people that are in the movie a lot, but the problem is they're just standing around. Or there's a scene where it's like, what's his name? Like Oswald's gonna give you 15 minutes exposition. So characters are in the room with them, but they're not doing much. But hey, good for Finn. And I liked all the Slimer scenes. I had enjoyment out of him trying to catch him, and I actually really liked the payoff of that's how they got rid of Parasite was, or what was it, the Possessor, when it possessed the pizza and it's going
Right.
off the edge and Slimer,
That was
because
good.
I did not see that coming at all. And the I know that guy line, I was like, okay, that I appreciated it, paid off for me in the in the long run. So
Yeah, I
okay.
wish he had a bit more to do,
Yeah.
but he's always good, and I feel the same way about Paul Rudd. I wish he had more
Mhm.
going on in this movie, but yeah, like we said, kind of takes a backseat for a while there. But I like this. I like this kind of subplot of becoming the dad, becoming the
Yeah.
stepdad, really embodying that. You get that cute moment at the end where she calls him dad, and he's trying to be harder on her, which he does successfully and unsuccessfully at different times. So I think he has some fun stuff to do in there. I wish he just had a little bit more. I guess there's a couple of things I would have maybe cut in order to get a couple more scenes of them, or maybe just connections between other characters that we didn't really get a lot of. But in general, I like the just family moments between them. Like
Mhm.
I really like the opening scene, or I guess maybe not quite the opening scene because that's the New York flashback. I think is the opening, but then their
Yeah.
first battle against the sewer dragon of Hell's Kitchen or whatever they called
Mhm.
it was really fun. But all just their dynamic is really great there. And even when they're back in the house and Paul Rudd's like, "Hey, watch my beans," and he goes downstairs, and Finn's up there just like continuing with dinner. I thought all the chemistry was really good between all of them. That's where I just wish there was maybe a little bit more going on.
Well, that's what you were saying. Like, even to me, the whole family dynamic, I really like that. But it is just, there's a scene of her being nice. The mom says, hey, be harder. There's one scene where he struggles it. The next scene, he's hard on her. And then the next scene, they resolve it. It's very just like one, two step. Like, it's
Checking
rinse
the
it-
boxes.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Where it's like, I feel like you can still get 15 minutes out of that stuff. Right. Or even what's his relationship with Trevor, like Finn Wolfhard, like that's just like non-existent. She says about the kids, but it's not really about the kids. It's just about Phoebe, and they have that one moment where he talks on the door and everything. But yeah, like that's all I need more, because I think that is a fun dynamic of, hey, you. I liked the conversation they had where, hey, do you like, I could do that, but I didn't think it was my place. And I guarantee you many step parents had that conversation of, okay, when you do marry into a family, where is the line? And this is that moment of, okay, he's, getting closer to being, a stepdad, whatever it may be. And she's given that permission. And it's same thing with the mom. I like Carrie Coon, and she could have been in that more, talking with the daughter about this, everything. Because the dad is not like dead. The dad's just like a deadbeat dad. So I feel like there could be, I think when it's the dad's dead, not to sound whatever, but that would be almost easier because you have no choice but to move on. But I feel like that would be a thing of like, oh, should I trust and kind of love another dad like figure when we already have a dad that's like doesn't give a shit about us, right? So I think there's like lots there with the mom, Trevor, everything you could pull apart, but I think they kind of want this one to be like a summer blockbuster, which fair enough. But I think you can. That's where I think movies that have the both elements and can hit more in the heart, you'll remember that in 30 months from now, or 30 maybe in 30 months.
months.
Yeah, maybe in 30 months from now. Maybe you will, right? There's stuff we remember all the
Cusp of
time
3 years.
past years, yeah. And the only thing I didn't mention is the Fire Master. Kamel is just like, I don't know, feta cheese on most foods. That's maybe not breakfast, or like I'll take Kamel anywhere. Like there's anytime.
You want
I've
feta
never.
cheese on every meal?
I'll maybe take it back, but I like feta cheese. And I like like I feel like all the meals, like pasta, pizza, a little lasagna, like all the meals you could put feta on and it adds to it. That's what Kamel is, and
All the meals.
yeah, all cereal.
So he's not good in every movie, but you really want him in 30% of movies. Is what you're
Here's the
saying.
thing. Actually, no, I'll keep with the feta. Maybe the meal is not good, but feta is always good. And that's what Camille would say. Like, he could be in a movie. Same thing with Eternals. Like, I don't love Eternals, but I like him a lot in it. I liked him enough. I think he was in one of the Men in Blacks, I think, right? Oh, he was the voice of a character. Like, I always like him, and I think they did. My favorite joke was when he went to do like the whole one-liner with the lighter, and it didn't work. It's like, okay, that worked for me. So yeah, it's almost one of the characters that I wish was in it more, because other than a few times, he also was just mostly just there for comedic relief, which is fine. That's what Kamel does, but you get him affiliated with the team a little bit more. But I enjoyed him, and they always have those type of concepts in Ghostbusters, so it worked for me. I liked the whole telling of it with the like the kind of mural, as Pat and Oswald were talking over, it was like transforming and stuff. So yeah, no, it all worked for me, because I feel like sometimes when they introduce these high concepts, that's when you get lost. Like, I don't care about this at all. But I like the Fire Master, I like the Protectors, I liked all the jokes, I like Kamel, so easy pass for me on that one for Kamel. So
Oh yeah.
Let's see. Give the Fire Master his own spin-off film. I don't know if it'll justify its own spin-off film, and I feel like his only mission is to destroy Garaka and that stuff. But hey, the guy, I'd understand. You know, if you maybe you got a better chance of him coming back, but Cabell's a great guy, so
Yeah, I don't know if I need the spin-off necessarily, but
yeah, no,
I
no.
respect that take. I was just gonna say, I think my favorite, I guess ghost you'd call it, is the possessor in this. I think is just super fun. It kind of has like the Yondu needle sort of effect, the way it like jumps from thing
Yeah.
to thing. But I just thought they got so creative with that, and it was like in this movie a lot. And of course, like in the containment tank, jumping between like the lamp and the vacuum and all these things. But then when it's in the apartment or going through the city, I just thought that was a really fun ghost. The CGI looked great on it, and it also was like, to me, that was more intimidating than Garaka, because it's like, how
Yeah.
the fuck do you catch this thing? And it's like,
It
at
went in
end
the
of the day-
proton pack. I didn't even feel like it went in all that stuff. And when it went in
Yeah,
the car,
yeah.
it's like, oh, I don't think they've ever made like the car evil. So it's like, oh, this is like an easy, really cool thing to do. The headlights are red. It's like, oh yeah, this is
and
great.
yeah, at the end of the day, like, they really couldn't catch it. Like, as you mentioned, like
Yeah.
the other ghost kind of
Slimer.
gobbles it up. Kind of had to trick it in some way. So yeah, I thought that was a very fun thing. I also, maybe quick nitpick is in the lab, the secret ghost lab that they're building. They really need like a backup generator or something. That seems like a total miss, that all these ghosts are being contained with a
Yeah.
small electric field. And yeah, they don't have a backup, especially when they're like testing things that could blow the fuse at any moment. Huge risk that they're taking there with that one really scary ghost in the dark cave room there.
Lots of risks in general. Like they didn't have a great plan. Like, which this was the first time they revealed what happens to all the ghosts when they catch them. That they're just kind of just sitting in New York hanging out. But even then, it's like
Swirling around, yeah.
not a great idea. The one wrong thing, as we saw in this movie, pandemonium. Even though not many people died, except for that was another
Did
joke I
anyone
did
die?
like. Yes, someone did. That was one joke I did also like, but rolled my eyes at the same time. Is Garaka busts out and he goes to this convenience shop. He says, "Are you the fire master?"
Right.
And the guy goes, "I'm the fire master." Clearly, it's some pot store that probably says fire master, something like that. And
It's
he
that
kills
over
him.
the top Fire
don't-
Masters.
okay, so there you
vapes
go.
Or whatever.
So yeah, Melody's whole conscious of crisis thing did cost that guy his life, the fire master weed dealer guy. So he did die, yes, sadly,
Right. Yeah, I
because he,
forgot about him.
he was frozen and then he hit him and he was pieces. So R.I.P.
Yeah, he's done for.
Yeah. Let's take our next ad break and then Taylor can talk to us about what he wants to tell us. We'll be right back. And we're back, Mr. Field.
Trying to remember what I was going to talk to you guys about.
Talking about Fire Master, talking about the
Ice.
ghost in the
Ice.
basement, the generator.
Science.
I like
Pot.
that line actually from Melnuts when she's like, 'cause they were talking about the generator and they're like, oh, you guys didn't think like what would happen if it got full or whatever. I think it was this context of this scene when she's like, oh, it was the 80s and no one was caring about the future or anything
Yeah.
like that. They're
Yeah,
just
who is
building this
she?
stuff.
What is the 411 on her?
She was the secretary for the
Okay.
Ghostbusters in the
Gotcha.
first film, and then she came back in the second one, and she's in Afterlife as well.
Yeah, and they weren't like a married couple, but her and the grandfather did also have a dating relationship at one point too. Yeah, so no familiar bonds or anything, but yeah, they did have a relationship.
And then the investor guy, like the guy who was setting this all up, I can't remember his name. Was he a Ghostbuster? Or
Yes,
was he?
he
Okay,
was.
okay. He was on the main squad there.
Which I appreciated that. I know some people might not like dumb movie logic, but I just like that. Since then, he's gone mega rich, and that's how they do everything, right? Because even at one point, Paul read at the beginning, he's like, "Oh, you're getting paid for this," and someone's like, "None of us are getting paid," or so. Oh, the kids are talking about not getting paid and everything, right? And I was happy that was not a storyline because it's something they've done Ghostbusters before, is they like charge people money and stuff. Like I didn't need like, oh, and they're also struggling for money in this movie. I just like that the rich guy's just like, go get the ghosts. That works for me sometimes in movies. All I need is the one dumb answer. Thank you. Let's move on. I don't need the funding storyline to take up 15 minutes. So
He's got some funny lines in the original, especially because they're like the mayor in this film. He's actually the head of the Environmental Protection Agency in the first film. So he's the guy who's trying to get the Ghostbusters shut down, and he hates the Ghostbusters. And so it comes full circle here now that he's the mayor, and so that he's trying to. That's why he hates the Ghostbusters so much.
They brought back the guy that like is I don't know if he was a security guy or works at the library. Remember Dan Aykroyd's like, "Oh, I hope to never see you again." And so when they enter
Yeah.
the library, so there's a lot of callbacks. I was going to ask you today about the library ghost, which I do like the library ghost, but if they know that ghost's in there, how come they've not gone to get that ghost? It's a pretty scary ghost.
It's a very good question. I don't know. It's the
Yeah.
same reason why they didn't get like Slimer, I guess.
Yeah,
But they can't catch Slimer though.
they don't really try that hard.
Finn Wolfhard was trying the whole movie.
Yeah, but they just send like this incompetent kid to deal with it.
Well, because one, Carrie Coon didn't know it was up there. Two, it's like always do. He's not
She
haunting.
totally
anybody.
did. He was like, "Hey, I need help with this thing," and she's like, "Ah,
You're an
okay."
adult. You can do it.
How
He
much?
didn't know. All
Well,
he
she
said is
knows,
something.
so she knows.
I don't think she did. I think he just said something's wrong in the attic, and she was tired and just like, "Oh, you're an adult. Figure it out." I don't think she knew it was a ghost. But if they did know it's a ghost, Slimer's he's just there to eat. Like he's not haunting anybody.
But do
He's
you-
just there to eat.
Well, that's worse though. I'd rather be haunted. You know how much hundreds of
spewing liquid
thousands
through
of
the
dollars of food money they're losing.
But
'cause
sometimes
this
when you're
fucker's
haunted, that
eating
leads to death. So you'd rather have the chance of
That
death
thing is
like
versus
confirmed?
gooping on his bed.
Yes.
It's like spilling through the roof onto his bed. You'd be okay with that?
just get some of those like plastic sheets that they put over couches and stuff every day. You know, rinse and repeat.
You're gonna do that every day of your life.
I like Slimer. He seems like a cool
Oh my
guy.
God.
But if you're but imagine we do the charity stream and you're super protective, like my food in my fridge, that this is mine, you can't eat it. This fucker doesn't give a shit. He's eating all your food.
Yeah, but clearly upstairs he was finding other people's foods. He didn't touch Finn Wolfhard's Cheetos.
Dude.
I don't know about that.
He didn't touch Finn's Cheetos until he gave them
was
to himself.
tou-
Again, I'll still take someone that takes my food over a ghost like the library ghost that may kill me. We've never seen what
Finn-
happens when the ghost gets you. So I guarantee you, the look of that ghost, not friendly, will murder
Finn
you.
definitely alluded to it before because when he was in there stirring the beans, he grabbed a bag of his Cheetos and the bag tore open, and he was like, something got in here again or something like that.
Yeah.
So he was alluding to food being eaten.
I'll
Again,
tell you one thing.
food,
I would
life.
never stick my finger in the roof like he did. That was
No, very
disgusting.
risky. Yeah. They're not.
But he was going real deep in there.
Yeah, not the move I would do either. But yeah, fun stuff there, and he got to drive the car at the end, so good for Trevor.
One is a pro and a con. You know, the thing that really grabbed me the most. I'm very nitpicky on this review, and I apologize for that, but that's just how I feel about the movie. So the biggest thing about the trailer that really grabbed me was just like the disaster movie like ice part. Like that seemed like really fun to me. But that was like I feel like every one of those shots was like in the trailer. Like there wasn't really much of it when that happens, and I was shocked that wasn't like very early on. I thought that would be like first act, setting the scene of the villains in town, and we're gonna go after them. So I was very
Yeah.
surprised that was like kicking off like the end of Garaka here, getting down to it. So I guess that made sense. But yeah, I guess I just wanted a bit more of that because I thought it all looked really cool and was really fun, and the trailer really made it to be like a big deal, and it just didn't really seem to matter a whole lot, and there wasn't a ton of scenes there. But I was also just a bit confused that like, isn't Garaka the one who like spawns the ice like from his presence? So like, why is it rolling in through from like a storm like over the sea? It didn't. I don't know if it really made sense to me. Maybe that's very nitpicky, but
I can't answer that
was-
one.
I was
I'm just assuming he's just
confused.
popping off with powers. But yeah,
Just flexing.
I thought I didn't think the whole movie would be nice because I saw enough of the trailers. I at least thought the whole third act would be, and someone might be like, "Well, it is." No, to me, like the final battles in ice, not the third act. So I think there was a fun movie where you got like I don't know what's the fucking car, the Buster Mobile called Taylor. I know it has a specific name. Or you don't know either. Either way, like I feel like there's lots of cool stuff you could do with that car on the icy roads and all these characters in big jackets and lots of other
Ectomobile.
the Ectomobile. Like I think there's lots of things they could have done with extended, but yeah, it just felt like again, superhero or boss battle where they throw down something in a video game. It's like now this arena's ice. Like, all right. So I agree. I could have used a little more.
Frozen Empire, maybe not the most accurate title for the movie.
Yeah, no, I don't know what it would be. You can't call it Empire because that's just weird.
Garaka's Wrath or something.
Garaka's that doesn't roll off the tongue. Oh yeah,
No,
and
it's a
even
good.
then,
It's a good name. Like
I guess
Empire,
Frozen
obviously
Empire,
Godzilla
New York
versus Kong,
City.
like that's a very
yeah.
movie type. Like what was that? Jurassic something Empire, right? Like there
Is there an
Wasn't there-
Empire Jurassic movie?
wasn't there a Jurassic called something Empire?
Don't just scoop the title of the
Dominion.
next one.
Dominion Empire? No.
Jurassic
something-
City
Okay.
Empire.
There's Fallen
And
Kingdom.
it'll
What's
be
the new
in
one
New
coming
York.
out?
Jurassic City was the rumored title, I think, right?
Yeah.
That's a cool title. Okay, I was
Yeah.
confusing it with I already forget. They're also
Jurassic
generic.
Empire.
Yeah, whatever you said, something.
The Empire Strikes Back. But remember, this one's Empire because they're specifically in New York, like Empire State of Mind, stuff like that. So I don't
Okay,
think
yeah,
Empire
let's
State
keep for one.
Building.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
Empire State of. Sorry, what? Say it again.
Empire State of Mind, very popular Jay-Z, Alicia Keys song. But then Empire State Building, like it's Empire for New York, so Frozen New York.
Oh, I took it as he was just trying to build a frozen empire by
That too.
collecting all the ghost armies.
Double entendre.
It's 2 in
But
1.
to Dylan's point, it's Frozen for half an hour, Frozen for 15 minutes, you know, like, and it was Frozen to the point where what annoyed me was they showed the effects of people getting frozen and then everyone was gone. It's like the city had evacuated. That would have made more sense if it was Frozen Act 2. And then it's like, we're putting a state of emergency, get the hell out of New York, whatever. Or if they know a storm's coming, but just there's not a single person after we see certain people like the fire master pot guy get killed in the cops being like, yeah, call then. It's just a CGI ghost town, which is not a good way, ghost town. Like just, okay, this is all on a machine somewhere and they're not going to animate people. There's really there is stakes because the whole family's getting frozen, which, can someone explain to me what was Phoebe's gun? Was it just a bigger gun that's
No.
why it could affect him? Okay.
It was the same
listening.
gun, but it's what she was talking to Dan Aykroyd's character about. So certain spirits, in this case, Garaka was susceptible to brass, or I think the other
Right,
thing was
okay, I
nickel.
remember.
So
She
what she
coated
did
the
was
thing. with
she
brass.
coated
okay.
part of a particle accelerator with the brass, which is
Yeah.
I thought fucking cool. I love that.
Yeah, I like the
idea.
sound it made. It was cool. I like it was like the green. So yeah, I appreciate that because yeah, sometimes the kiddos I miss some stuff. But I remember them cutting the pole and everything, saying, "Okay, that answered for me." I at first I was just like, "What? It's just bigger? Is that the thing? They just need a bigger whatever rifle?" But no, I can buy that. And I did like the moments too for CGI wise when he'd freeze the streams and then when they crashed and some of
That
them were
looked
still
really
like
nice.
they were still like lit in them. I was like, "Oh, that's really fun." So there was some. That's again like some of the ice stuff was fun. Some of the spikes were looking a little not there, but I wish there was more time with the ice. So I agree with you on that point, Dylan.
There was a couple scenes where you do see some people out there in the snow and whatnot. But once you get to the ghost hall, there's really nothing happening outside.
Yeah, especially I'm considering like
anymore.
it's a frozen empire. I feel like a lot of those buildings' doors just got frozen. Like I feel like they weren't a way where you could just walk right back in your house, right? So I feel like a lot of people couldn't get it back in buildings. What if they're frozen in their car or they're frozen? Like I feel like we didn't even like New York. I don't know, but I feel like at least in America, maybe the most busy place in the world, it was daytime when this happened. Why isn't there like a bunch of frozen bodies in the street standing there? I don't think there really was. It's just dead. Like New
Yeah.
York. I was there for only a week and it's never not busy at any time in New York.
and
So
Garrick is coming. Garaka is coming.
Baraka.
People are gonna be out of there
scum.
real quick.
Yeah. Well, and that's why again, like you could have had second act, but it's fine. It's a little thing, but yeah, Frozen for a Day Empire.
I understand Rick Moranis. He's got his priorities, and I totally respect his change in direction after what happened in his personal life. It's just it's incredible, but dang, I know that I think they tried really hard to get him in here. It would have been so cool just to see like a little cameo or something in there. But honestly, at the end of the day, 2 movies with him, I'm totally happy. We got Sigourney Weaver and that credit scene in the first
Barely.
and Afterlife, barely, yeah. But
They went
so
to her
all in
house
all,
and
like-
filmed it for 20 minutes. They called that.
Oh
like,
yeah,
here's a
she got
check
big
for 10
paycheck.
grand. Yeah.
yeah, it must be nice.
Yeah,
But
God.
all in all, though, I love seeing the whole roster of Ghostbusters that we got in here. When Garaka was going through the doorway, entering in, and you just see, like 10 of them, all with the proton packs, just firing them off. Like, man, this is cool. It's a whole little mini army of Ghostbusters. I'm really digging this. They all got different color uniforms. Some of them got the black jumpsuits. Some of them got the OG beige ones, and then like red snow suits on too. It was just so cool to see all the different. Oh shit. All the different just customizable options. It just made me think like it'd be cool to get a game like this. I never played the Alphonic Ghostbusters game, so I don't have anything to comment on that. But I know they've released some other Ghostbusters titles in the past. But this
Do you
just
think
it
that
felt
game is
super
still
cool.
live? The server's
As
still
far as
live?
I know, it's still getting updates.
Oh, wow.
Tonight,
Yeah.
boys, we're dropping in Frozen Empire.
I-
Hey, if it was
I'm
on
dropping
Game
it.
Pass,
For
I would
Garaka.
jump in.
I'm dropping elsewhere, running from Garaka.
Yeah, I thought they all had the right amount of screen time because, like I said, as usual, I don't like Bill Murray, but I think what they had him in for was a good enough time. The only thing I like, legitimately, I really did not like. I did not like the scene him and Kumail had. I did not find that funny at all. And again, I always sit there and like I don't like Bill Murray's humor, but I just thought that just wasn't a funny scene in general of him just chucking stuff at him, and I was like, this
It was
is
a callback, I think, to was it the second one? Maybe it
well,
was the
whenever they called
first
back to,
one.
they called back to Pain because it wasn't working for me. It was it was like only a minute scene, but I was sitting there like, man, this joke needs to end. But the rest of the stuff when he finds the whiskey, like, okay, this all works. He's in there enough for me not to be too annoyed. So
The whiskey was funny. The scene that he does in the original is he's got a guy and a girl, and he's being flirtatious with the girl because he's basically holding up a card and they have to guess what the card is. And the guy's getting all of them right, and so he keeps shocking the guy, and the girl keeps getting them all wrong, and he's like, "Oh, you got it right. Good job." So I think it fits with his character.
they did that last movie though. There's the reverse. Remember, he was in the machine. I guess I just don't need this machine. And it was Sigourney, but that's fine. But yeah, I thought they used them all well enough. Aykroyd was in there the most. They try to give him like some mini arc of, you know, he wants to be doing this in his 60s, but I just feel like it was like a couple lines between two characters, and that's our Ernie Hudson's.
How much do you think you got paid for that role? Probably a lot, even though he probably filmed it in
At
one
least
day.
at least six figures.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to think. I'm not
Enjoying
gonna
his
say
golden
7,
years.
but yeah, they're enjoying their golden years. And you know what? And that's why, as not a big Ghostbusters fan, I thought that was a fun fan service moment where he tried to pull a lever and couldn't, and so you get the whole gang together, all their hands on one lever trying to pull it down. Like, okay, that I think that's some really good, like, heartwarming. The team working together one last time to, well, who knows one last time, but
One last
could
ride.
be, yeah, one last ride. But I thought that worked. So
Yeah, I love Dan Aykroyd. I really love him in the Ghostbusters movies, and I miss seeing that. That's probably why I like the first and the second one so much. Is Dan Aykroyd's character with Egon Spengler. I really like their chemistry together. They're really, really awesome, and Dan Aykroyd is just an awesome character, person, just in general. I was this side tangent. He's had Bigfoot encounters, UFO encounters. The man
Get
has
him
like,
on Cryptic Clues.
Oh,
actually,
yeah.
he's got stories to tell. He's an incredible human being. Oh,
we'll
my
get him in
goodness.
one of our movies for sure, and then we'll hook
Yeah.
you two up.
6 figures.
Yeah. Please, second movie, go support when we put that on Patreon. Please go support that. I was happy with the amount we made, but it was no 6 figures. So, yeah. But yeah, no, there you go.
I like the little marshmallow dudes, the sadistic marshmallows, which just feels like we're gonna sell a bunch of these. That just felt like one of those things. So.
Yes.
But I thought they were very fun with their kind of like the one at the very end and like the I guess mid-credit scene that just like puts the like cigarette lighter like on his face. I thought that was, and then the one like sticking its arm in the pencil sharpener. They were cute and fun and got the job done. I felt.
Yeah, my theater gasped at the cigarette lighter to the face. Everyone's like, "Oh my god!" So yeah, a cute little moment.
Covering
I also
their
don't-
kids' eyes.
Yeah, and I also don't think they're like overexposed in the movie. I think they're in there enough. They get introduced into the afterlife deal in like these little versions of them, so they're kind of like a carryover. So yeah, same thing. I think both times they've been used sparingly. So
What do you guys think of podcast?
I was surprised how much he fucking grew, seen from the first one. Like, man, that kid, he grew. He's just such a little kid 3 years ago, and now, like, I know because I have kids, but it's tough because I feel like you can't have like the joke of Dan Aykroyd being a podcaster. I don't think you could have that alone because you'd have some assistant character anyways. And so yeah, he is from the first one. It's a similar bit where he's kind of an annoying kid. So I get why you have to bring him over, but at the same time, if we were to have a list of 3 characters we had to lose, he might be like he's in the bottom 3 for sure. I don't know if he's the draft 1, draft 2, because I think that blonde scientist guy who had a couple fun jokes, you get rid of him. You could get rid of there was another, I think, employee around there, but podcast would be pretty low to go as far as characters that need screen time. But you know, nothing, and I don't think it's because the actor. I think he does a fine job, the kid actor. It had nothing to do with him, just for writing wise. They don't give me anything to care about really. So
I like the one scene that him and Dan Aykroyd had when they're doing the podcast section with the scanning the lady's watch and then just smashing it anyway. I thought that was funny, but other than that, his humor didn't really work for me. I didn't feel like he really detracted much because it was always like him with some other characters, so it felt like, okay, we'd be getting the scene either way, so I guess you might as well throw him in there. But yeah, he didn't do much for me. It wasn't one of my favorites.
Oh, that cracked me up so good when the old lady's like, Harold beat for the nice man. And then nothing happens and he just smashes her late husband's watch. That's so
Yeah.
horrible. It's like,
He
oh,
gets the views.
Yeah. Yeah. But the character, I was actually really surprised to see him come back. And he definitely had some lines that made me laugh a lot more than Afterlife, I would say, too. When he's talking with Patton Oswalt's character, and he's with Phoebe, and he's with Dan Aykroyd, and they play the audio, the ancient pre-Sumerian audio for him, and Patton Oswalt's like, "Oh, Professor so and so put you up to this," and he gets on the phone, and the podcast hangs up. He's like, "He's dead." It's like, Patton Oswalt's like, "What the hell is wrong with you?"
That one did get me because that is full. I love, if anyone knows this, I love the whole like, oh, can I talk to Trisha? Trisha's been dead for 10 years. Like, I bust out that joke all the time. So when he did that, that was probably a top 3 laugh for me. That I forgot. Now I'm saying I forgot about it. So there you go. But still, yeah, that was a great one. And he's dead. No, he's not. He's alive, you little prick. So yeah, good one there.
I'm out of notes, I think.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty much, again, all my other critiques are just like, even with the brother and sister, I wish the whole family interacted more. That's probably going to be my biggest con, especially after Afterlife, liking them all together. I would have liked more interaction between them. And again, maybe that's, I know they probably want to keep it 2 hour, but maybe if it's 2:15, like I said, maybe there's some things I remember more about this movie, but I don't think I have anything else. I think they used the OGs well enough. Some fun, couple good jump scares. Nothing got me. Someone got the kids a couple times, so that was fun. But yeah, no, I think that's about it for me.
Yeah, I think that's all my notes.
Yeah, Dylan, any final thoughts then?
Yeah, no, I'm glad I finally jumped into this universe. It was fun. It was a good time, and yeah, I think, like I said, I don't know if I'll be really rewatching this anytime soon, but definitely going to check out Afterlife at some point here and then go back to the OG as well. So hopefully once I've watched those, I've kind of infused this one with more meaning, or maybe I'll even be motivated to want to watch it again with kind of more of that context. But overall, had a good time with it. Not a perfect movie, but just a good time at the theater. So can't go wrong with that.
If you have Netflix, it's on there. But
whoa,
sorry.
I do currently have Netflix.
Okay, Afterlife is on there. So there you go.
Nice.
Have you seen Casper?
As a wee lad, but there's no memories of it left.
Technically, it
left
is Ghostbusters canon.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's fun. Okay, well there you go. I've very knowledgeable with this world now.
Yes, a Buster's character makes a cameo in it, like in the costume and everything like that. So
It's a good line.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'll give this like a 6.75. I've been talking to myself about changing my scale.
We've been here. You've been talking about
Yeah. Previously, I've been talking to myself about trying to make maybe 7.5 my new rewatch skill. Like I've always said before on the podcast, if I give it a 7, it's like not the greatest movie, but I'll know I'll rewatch it. Where lately I've been starting to give things a 7 because it's just maybe because the filmmaking behind it's so good. I couldn't give it under that because like a 6, if something's like shot well and scored well, but maybe I had story or issues or character issues. So I might change that in the future to 7.5. But even this, I don't think it's one that I would put on the 7 for. It doesn't have like the fantastic filmmaking, and it's not something I'm going to go back to. But I think I'll watch again at some point in my life. Like I said, if the girls, Gwen's really liking Ghost. She's starting to really like all my kids, but like she saw the Beetlejuice teaser, and when it was ended, she said, awesome. Like she's really starting to like turn in like mini trash, like liking that kid horror type of that sort of stuff. So I will watch it again. And as I said in the opening, I won't be mad about it. But if I was alone, it wouldn't be one I'd actively seek out until maybe years later. There's enough here that I liked. I did not regret seeing it. I had a good time. So I'm going to go a 6.75. Maybe a few more inches, a few more things. Yeah. Could have maybe.
It's been a while since I think you've done one at 0.75.
Yeah, because like I feel like it's still better than like a 6, but I can't get to that 7 because I know I purposely, Travis Snell myself, will not rewatch it a bunch. So 6.75. Nice. That's like a C plus. I'll take a C. I took many C pluses back in the day. That was a happy grade for your boy.
Mr. C
so-
plus. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what they used to call me, Mr. C plus. Mr. Field, end us off.
Yeah, I'm putting Afterlife over this one for sure.
Mhm.
I think that it really captured a lot more of the, like I said at the beginning of this episode, the nostalgia of the OG and the introduction for the new fan base really, really well. I really, really like that film. And this one, it does a good enough job for me that I like seeing the returning of all the characters and their chemistry. But you guys hit some notes spot on where some characters really just fell off, and we got more scenes with the OG characters than we did with these new characters that I felt like are supposed to take over the mantle of the show. This is a gentleman that I saw the movie with. Actually, he said like he wasn't sure who
I thought
they
you saw
made
with
this
Madison.
movie for. Well, yeah. Who they made this movie for? If it was for the OG fans, if it was for the new fans, and I feel like that's well said in the sense that this has maybe a little lost identity for really.
Well,
who
I
it
think
was
the answer is
targeting.
I think the answer is they made it for both, but that's where it's tough. That's a really tough bounce to strike because that's why we talk about how many characters there are. So I think they did try to go for newer families and then the OG people, but you lose a little bit along the way. It's serving two masters,
Yeah, I think that's a good way of putting it. The overall like tone of the film, though, I had a good time. I was laughing, and I definitely plan to see this again. I really do, and I think that it was a lot of fun. I'm curious. I really am curious what we're gonna get for a third one. Are we gonna have those OG characters in it at all? Are we just gonna have the new
What's the
characters
budget
and what they're
here?
gonna do? I feel like, dare I say, we don't really necessarily need another Ghostbusters because I feel like this is a high enough note that I feel like they could just call it here. But I love Paul Rudd. I love seeing him interact with these characters, and I wouldn't mind seeing the story continue if they were to say, "Hey, we're doing another one, Ghostbusters, the Fire Empire, or whatever."
Yeah, Melted Empire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
I was just gonna look at the thing there. I think the only reason they did this because I think you could have said that even after the last one, it was a good ending spot. But I think that one was just so well received and people liked it that's why they went another one. So I'm trying to find out. For some reason, my fucking laptop's broken and it just keeps pulling up my history. I'm trying to search fucking
What's going on in the history? Something sketchy
No,
in there?
just for anytime I hit search on Google, it brings up my history for like Ghostbusters. Hang on, I'm going to Safari. Come on. Oh my god. Ghostbusters.
That
Frozen
scene with
Empire.
Paul Rudd where he was trying to make like I can't remember her name. Carrie Cook, is that her
Carrie
name?
Coon.
Carrie Coon, when he was trying to make her feel better, and he's like, who people are, I don't know, like who are they gonna call? Ghostbusters.
Mhm,
One more
yeah.
important thing to say, busting makes me feel good. He's
That was good.
he's so charismatic and just delivers everything great in this movie.
Yeah, people like that in my theater. But yeah, so budget's 100 million. It's projected to make about 45 this weekend. So I think you can get to that 200. It'll make a profit. I think I agree with you. Like, you don't need another one, and I don't think this is the franchise where they're going to start killing people off. I think they've shown like this is just going to be a good time movie. But no, I'm wherever they go, we'll see. But yeah, there we go. That's our review. Let us know. Join the Discord as it's listed below. Your thoughts on the film. Thank you very much for tuning in. When you hear from us next one, won't be boring.
See ya.